What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and today we're doing a special episode of Community Feedback in which we're just kind of focusing on pretty much one comment, but it represents a theme of kind of the conversation that we want to surround ourselves with here at WorkToGame. Now, I do want to say that if there's anything that is remotely offensive, or if I come off and I'm not clear enough, if you're confused by kind of the message and what this means, please feel free to reach out to me. We are open on Twitter and we're open on Discord. You can always reach out to me. We can have a real conversation. We can even do it over voice if that actually makes it a little easier. It's my preference to do that. Sometimes, at least my spelling can get me, maybe I'm just, not saying the right words when it comes to text. And I just want to make sure that context, tone, and everything is really clear. And this is always open. This has been open and it remains open, obviously, today. So feel free. I just want to put that out there. Link would be in the description below if you want to join our Discord server if you haven't already. And so I'm going to blank out the name for the person who made this comment because this is not trying to put them on blast. I actually totally want to understand where they're coming from. I think where they're coming from is completely valid. I think having these feelings and seeing obviously the podcast with the quartering that can for some who do not like him can be shocking and things like that. And so I want to kind of address that theme. So this is not to put him on blast, but I just want to just blank out his name just so it's not like trying to catch him or something like that. So it's just out of respect I'm doing that. But I just wanted to say that very clearly. He asked, "Is Alex Jones your next guest? This guy is trash, and giving him the time of day is really making me hover over that unsubscribe button." And so I want to kind of break it up in a couple different contexts. So first, is Alex Jones our next guest? No, but if Alex Jones had a video game channel, I would invite him onto the podcast. And I believe, and this is going to tie in why we believe this. So I'm going to hopefully put a little bit more context to that answer here in a second. As far as the fact that we're giving Jeremy the time of day and that you might unsubscribe for that, honestly, yeah, like if you want to unsubscribe from our channel, I support you. I love you. And hopefully you find what it is you're looking for. We make content and we're going to keep making content. And our goal for the podcast is to encourage dialogue and conversation. It doesn't mean that we're going to sit here and bring just the people that you love on or just the people that you hate on. The idea is that we think one of the big things the internet is lacking is dialogue. And it ends up, what we end up seeing as we kind of perceive this happening over the last couple of years, and it's probably been going on far more than before we even got involved, is that it's just evolved to people shouting at each other. And they get paid for it. And so we've monetized outraged. And that's kind of where we feel the podcast is positioned. It's a creator-focused podcast. So Alex Jones, is not our next guest. He doesn't do gaming. But if there was an Alex Jones of the gaming sphere, yes, we would want to talk to him. Doesn't mean we have to agree with him. Doesn't mean we're telling you have to agree with him. And doesn't even mean you have to watch the content whatsoever. Like, you do you when it comes to the variety of content that we put out here on the channel. We love games. We love joy. We want to spread that. And we feel that it's not, and we could be wrong. Like, not going to sit here and say I'm right. But we feel that the best way to do that is through relationships. It's through that relational conversation. If I meet you and I just put you on blast right away, like, why would you even listen? Like, you don't have to have that conversation. I actually personally really enjoyed the conversation we had with Jeremy. I thought he was well composed. I thought it was insightful. It was really interesting to get his perspective on everything. And I would have him back on the channel. Again, I'd have anybody. Like, to sit here and say that somebody can't come on the podcast because of a certain way they act or behave. Now, if they came on to the show and just decided to scream for an hour, I doubt we would air that. That would be painful in my ears. Like, there would obviously be the expectation of treating them as a good person, as a guest, as a person with human dignity, and having hopefully a rational and calm conversation with them with questions, answers, follow-up questions, and things like that. I think that's what's missing. I think that's why we see such a strength actually in podcasts overall. And our goal with it is not to necessarily even focus on one game or even outrage or anything. It's just to sit here and be open to having those conversations and then engaging with you guys, like with our community in the comments below. And I think a lot of comments were real positive. So It's not that everybody was real negative. In fact, actually, I was thinking that we would probably be around 50% of people who enjoyed that specific podcast, and we were at 75% last I checked. So I was really quite impressed. Lots of really good conversation being had. People making some really solid points, and that's what I think it's about. It's about both saying, speaking, listening, receiving. And that's just a fundamental belief that I have. I believe in conversation. I believe in dialogue, and it's really I'm really quite impressed with this community, how they responded. Some obviously probably did unsubscribe, and hopefully we'll have a chance to welcome them back into the community. I don't blame them at all for unsubscribing. It feels like I don't blame them for subscribing, and I don't blame them for unsubscribing. Like, everybody is welcome, and I know that the mindset, that the act of not trying to build an echo chamber is challenging, and it has growing pains, and that does not mean we'll always see eye to eye. Chris and I don't always see eye to eye. Like, we have things that we like in common, and we have a variety of things that we don't, and I think we feel that's a strength of the platform. I think we feel that's a strength of the channel, is that, like, I don't want it to be one voice, and I don't want it to be a conversation, a one-way conversation. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, we've got a lot of people that we've got scheduled on the podcast. Some Final Fantasy stuff, some hopefully Destiny stuff. We're still working out some of the dates for that. We've got a couple other things on Final Fantasy 11 thing, which is going to be really exciting. I think games and the gamers in general, I think there's a lot of strength in inclusivity. I think there's a lot of strength in what we bring to the whole package. And obviously there's problems, and there's challenges there. There's toxicity there. I see a lot of people, one of the things that I would say that I don't like, that frustrates me, is that when somebody just uses the label SJW, they use that in a way of trying to discount the person who's making a point. Now, that person could be, they could be fake. And that's the thing. That's the thing with social media. There's these two extremes of that telling it how it is. This is the real me. This is the truth. And then there's the other side of it, which is this is fake. People said kind of you have the anger is real and Instagram is fake. It's you kind of have these two worlds, and not saying that everybody on Instagram is fake, but you have these two, dichotomies of these oppositions of what is real and true and what is fake. And it's essentially where people align into that argument is where they what reaffirms their own beliefs or biases or whatever. And I'm guilty as anybody on this. This is not a new idea. And I am a flawed human being. And and so I try to daily challenge my personal bias. Honestly, for me personally, if something reaffirms something I already believe so diligently, so quickly, I try to question it and dig deeper just so that I can try to challenge myself. Am I perfect at it? No, because I wish I was. If I ever become perfect, I'll write a book, and then, maybe then I'll retire. I don't know. But the other side of that is so coming back to the kind of the term SJW, Associative Warrior, when I see that label being pressed, it is a word or it's a label that is trying to immediately discount what that other person is saying that they're not sincere in their beliefs. And I struggle with that. Yes, there are people who probably hit that label who suck, and they're doing it because of outrage, or it's going to get them paid, or it's going to they think that's going to make them famous. Yes, but I think to be very clear, because this is a very fine line, and that's why I want to make sure you guys, if you have a question, reach out. The very fine line is that the problem I see with it is the immediate discounting of somebody's point and using a label to do so. You can say alt-right as well. There are these terms that are toxic, and it shuts down the conversation, and that is the opposite of what we try to do here, is that we try to encourage the conversation, because at the end of the day, just like we don't believe name calling is the right way to make a point, because I think it weakens the argument, we shouldn't be afraid to have these conversations. I know a lot of people were you're giving him a platform. No, I'm not. He's got his own. But you're giving somebody a platform. Let's say it was an Alex Jones. You're promoting him. No. I get where people are coming from. I get that idea. But honestly, I think that if somebody's argument is horrible, if their point is horrible, asking the questions and engaging in that conversation is the right way to go about it rather than trying to shut them down, because I think that only strengthens them. I think trying to shut somebody down strengthens their position as opposed to weakens it. I think that having that, I think the people who default to that, and this is where I'm not trying to be offensive, but this might come across as slightly offensive, is that I think that argument that people can't speak shows a weakness or a lack of belief in your own point of view. Because if you believe your point of view is the right thing, then you want to find the best arguments for it. And an argument isn't a fight. An argument is a point. It's a point of debate and conversation, backed up by facts, backed up by history, backed up by something. But if your argument is just to diminish the other individual, then do you really believe in what you're trying to say? And I'm not trying to be offensive. Hopefully you're not offended, because that's where I come from. I don't know if I have the best arguments for the ideas and the ideals that I have, but I want to know, because if somebody has a better argument, it either will improve my own, or it can help shape my character, my personality, my mind, so that I can be a better human being. And ultimately, that's what I go. My job, I feel, as Brian, is as somebody who is out to seek understanding and to hopefully affect the world in positive ways. And this is like, why do I want that? Because I want a better life for my kids. I want them to have the ability to navigate this world with all the bad and all the good, and to be able to think rationally and to engage and to love like never before. I mean, for me, it comes down to love. It comes down to that, willing the good of the other as other. Like, that's when I say I love you, like, I mean it. Like, I want the best for you. And if that means that you need to unsubscribe because it's not necessarily being good to you right now, then I totally get it. And hopefully we can win you back. We post a lot. And I think that's the difference maker, you know? And it's a challenge, because like, I want to share that, and I want to be like, this is what's great, and sometimes it's not so great, and we have to find that right balance. And part of, I think, the community, the workforce's job is also hold me accountable and to communicate that with me, and that's why I think we're doing something. And I think the fact with the subscriber numbers, you know, show that. I think what we are building is that community and that mindset. And again, there are those growing pains, because there are new people who come into the community all the time, and they might not know that. They might not be used to that. They might not be used to the fact that, like, I want to hear your thoughts. I really want to know why you think the way you do, because I want to understand who you are as a human being, because I think it's beautiful. So, if you've stayed with me throughout this weird community feedback episode, thank you. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you if you watched the episode with the quartering. I really think it's one of our best podcasts to date. I'm very much excited about future guests that we're working on getting on the schedule, and I'm excited about the continuing conversations that we're going to have. It's going to be an awesome 2019, and I think 2020 is going to shape up to be something just off the charts. So, whether you choose to be subscribed, whether you choose to unsubscribe, whether you choose to leave a comment, like a video, or share, or whatever, thank you for your time. Thank you, and I love you, and I hope you have just the best life ever. And that's my message. That's what I believe. That's what it means to be a part of the workforce. So, anyway, guys, like I said, I love you. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Hey, it's me. It's been a while since I talked to you guys direct like this way, but don't tell anybody. We've got even more epic content planned for this channel. The response has been incredible. We hope to see you. If you're new, hit subscribe, leave us a comment. I'd like to talk to you more about video games. I can't seem to speak my language. All right.